So Jay Abraham left the dry cleaning business, and he had this small 8-track tape business that he set his brother up in. Unfortunately, the 8-track tape business did not last very long because there were issues with regulations and copyright, and Jay ultimately closed that after a short time. But what Jay started doing is he started looking for consulting opportunities. And what he basically was doing is going from business owner to business owner in Indianapolis and looking for opportunities where he could share in revenue that he would actually create for a company. And what he did is he created a business card that was 8.5 by 11, and he had it laminated. And it basically said J. Abraham, marketing consultant. He had it created by a graphic designer. It was a very, very nice card. And he would basically go from business owner to business owner, and he would pass out these cards. And it always got him a meeting with the business owner by creating this nice business card. And what he would do is he would basically pitch himself as a marketing consultant and look for opportunities. And when a person couldn't hire him or create an opportunity for Jay, what Jay would say, look, I understand you can't hire me. I understand there's not an opportunity for me here. But would you be willing to let me come to your office and just hang around with you for 3 to 5 days and just follow you around the whole day in your office and learn everything that I can about your industry? And this worked out very well for Jay. A lot of people let Jay do this, and he learned a lot about a lot of different industries. And so when he went into a position, when he went into a business owner's office, he would either generally leave with a consulting opportunity, or that person would let Jay come back and shadow him for 3 to 5 days, and he would learn about that industry. And then what he would do is he would take that knowledge to that person's competition and see if that person would give Jay some type of consulting opportunity. And Jay did this for a while, and then he landed a job with Unimail. And Unimail was a card deck postcard service. And what they did is they generated leads for business opportunities and magazines. And Jay was very, very good at selling these opportunities. He was very, very good at getting people to sign up for these cards. The problem is Jay found out that the leads that the cards were generating were not very good at all, and Jay was not in that position very long, and he quit. But in the short time that Jay was there, Jay learned about the subscription business and the lead business, and he would use that information later on to make millions of dollars in the newsletter industry. And so, just to kind of explain to you what a card deck is and what Unimail did, it's very simple. They sent out 3x5 cards that had a bunch of different business opportunities and magazines on them. People would get this card, they would check mark things that they were interested in, they would send the card back, and then Unimail would sell that lead to the business owner. And this was very, very productive as far as generating leads. And like I said, unfortunately, the leads were not very, very good. And to understand why this business works so well, you have to understand the subscription business. So you have a lot of magazines out there, like TV Guide, The Wall Street Journal, Sports Illustrated, Playboy, People Magazine. You have all these businesses that sell advertising based on subscription rates. And they have to keep those subscription rates at that level. When subscription rates fall off, people could cancel their ads. They could be forced to give refunds. When people come in to advertise the next year, it might be more difficult to get people to advertise. And so, when Sports Illustrated sells an ad, based on the fact they have 2 million subscribers, Sports Illustrated needs to stay at 2 million subscribers. And so when you see Sports Illustrated advertising their magazine for $19.95 for 1 year, and you're getting all of these bonuses for signing up, Sports Illustrated isn't making any money on the $20. What they're doing is they're investing all of that money back into the advertising to actually get that subscriber and maintain that subscriber base. And what that looks like is, Sports Illustrated goes to this card deck service, and they're willing to pay $3, $4, $5, maybe even $6 per lead. And so this card deck service is sending out these postcards, and they might be getting leads for 50 cents. They're turning around and selling those leads to these magazine publications and business opportunity things, and they're selling those leads for a lot of money. And it's a very, very lucrative business. And like I said, Jay Abraham ultimately made large amounts of money in this, and we'll talk about that later on. But when Jay left Unimail, Jay actually got the position with Icy Hot. And Icy Hot, I think, came to Jay from a referral or someone who he had done some consulting work for. And when Jay got hired by Icy Hot, his job was to actually find PI opportunities for the business per inquiry or per sale opportunities. Icy Hot was a arthritis cream that you would put on joints that would relieve arthritis pain. And it was sold for $3 a jar, and it was sold by mail order. So ads were ran, person would pick the phone up and they would call an 800 number, they would order the product, and the product would be shipped out. And Icy Hot, the cost of fulfillment on a jar of Icy Hot was 45 cents in the mail. So a total of 45 cents to create the jar, do all of the packaging, and get the product shipped. So for 45 cents they got the product out, and they sold it for $3. The owner of the business was not willing to pay for advertising. They were not willing to pay for leads. The only thing they wanted was orders. So they would actually pay $3.45 for every order that came in. So if you could generate orders, they would give you $3.45 per order, and it was costing them, they were selling that first jar for $3. But the reason they could give $3.45 for one order is because the products worked so well that people would buy it for years on out. And if they got a person, they had the person hooked until either A, the person passed away, or B, there was a cure for arthritis. And the product was that good that they could basically give all the upfront money away. And so Jay was actually hired. He was given a position. He was given $75,000 a year, an expense account. He was set up in his own office across the street from the company. And his job was to find radio stations and newspapers and TV stations that would run ads on a per sale opportunity, where they were actually only going to get paid based on the amount of times the phone rang and people created orders. And when Jay got to Icy Hot, the company was doing $200,000 a year, and it was a regional product that was sold by mail order. It was a mail order product. And Jay basically went to work looking for radio stations, TV stations, and newspapers, and he was able to get 50 radio stations on board to run the ad where they would actually get paid $3.45 per sale. And what happened is Jay met a guy who was dissatisfied in the industry. The guy worked in radio, and this guy actually worked with 50 different radio stations, and Jay got that guy to get him on another 50 stations. And so Jay went from 50 stations to 100 stations, and ultimately Jay got this product on 200 radio stations, 1,000 TV stations, and he got it in print as well. And this company went from doing $200,000 a year to over $1 million a month in a relatively short amount of time. Like 3 to 4 months after Jay started working, the company was doing $1 million a month. And Jay created all these spots that said, not available in stores. The only way you can get it is to call this 800 number. But what happened is Jay created so much demand for the product that they forced retail distribution, because everyone was going into the drugstores and the retail stores and saying, we want Icy Hot, do you sell Icy Hot? And so what happened, Jay was working in an office across the street from the actual business. And this guy had 100 telemarketers taking orders for Icy Hot. And what he did is he took 25 of those telemarketers and he had those telemarketers start calling on drugstores and retail outlets. And the guy basically went retail kind of behind Jay's back. And Jay was very, very disappointed in this. It made Jay really look bad because all of the advertising said not available in stores. Jay had set all that up. And Jay left very, very irritated. He quit the company. And to add insult to injury, Jay was making a little bit of money there, but he wasn't getting a large percentage of the revenue. He wasn't sharing in the revenue stream. And that guy knew that a mail order company was worth X amount of dollars, but a retail distribution company was worth a lot more. And so when he forced retail distribution and he got this into all of these retail outlets, within 6 months of actually getting this company off the ground, he was able to sell it for like $15 million or something. And again, Jay left this company and he was very mad. Now, Jay was fortunate because he had built this pipeline of all of these advertisers. And he was able to use that pipeline to sell a few other things. And so he was making a little bit of money here and there, but he wasn't making the money he needed to live. And then what happened is someone called him in Texas, and this company had created an Icy Hot knockoff, very, very similar product. And they wanted to hire Jay to actually promote the product. And what they did is they got Jay to fly to Texas, and they agreed to give him a small ownership stake in the company. He was going to be given a $100,000 line to basically start this company and get everything off the ground. And so Jay moved to Texas. He moved to Texas. He bought a home that was a fixer-upper. He spent all of his money buying the home, and now he was actually trying to fix it up, trying to improve on the home. And unfortunately, while Jay understood marketing, Jay didn't have all of that other skill set that's required to do this. And they hired Jay. They set Jay up in an office. They gave him this $100,000 expense account. And Jay blew through like 80% of the money in the first 4 months before they got anything off the ground. And unfortunately, they thought Jay was a millionaire. Jay thought they were millionaires, and the whole thing fell apart. They never got anything off the ground, and the business ultimately closed. And not only did the business close, it left Jay in a really bad situation. Number one, he was living in Texas and knew no one in Texas. Number two, he had no job and no income. And number three, he had actually put $5,000 worth of expenses for that business on his own personal credit card, anticipating that he was going to get reimbursed, and unfortunately, he did not get reimbursed for that. And so Jay was able to get a job with the radio station in like Oklahoma City, Oklahoma or something, and it was 12 hours from where he was living. And these people rented Jay a car, and they got him a very, very inexpensive hotel room. And so Jay would leave at 2 in the morning on Monday and go to his radio station job, and he would live there for a week. And then at drive time rush hour traffic on Friday, Jay would go back home, and it would take him 10 to 12 hours to get home. He'd get home around 2 in the morning on Saturday, and then he would repeat that process again. So the whole time that Jay's doing this driving back and forth and working in Oklahoma, he's actually looking for another job so that he can kind of get back to Indianapolis and he don't have to do that commute anymore. And he actually gets hired by the Saturday Evening Post. And it's a very, very interesting story. The Servats are a family in Indianapolis, and they were extremely smart. I think one of them was a doctor who never actually practiced medicine. The other one was a politician, and they were extremely smart in business, and they would buy businesses out of bankruptcy. And they bought the Saturday Evening Post, and it was in bankruptcy. And I think this was a monthly magazine. And what they did is they went in and they said, we will not give you any money for the magazine, but what we will do is we will fulfill on the subscription obligation that the magazine has. And so they basically got the magazine and all of the ancillary value from that magazine for free. And there were a lot of other assets that came with that. And when they got the magazine, the first thing that they did is they did a renewal subscription offer, and they brought in $1 million from that. And the money that they brought in from the renewal subscription offer created the money that they would now be able to use to basically fulfill on their obligations for subscription. The second thing they did is they sold the mailing list to a mailing list house for $1 million. The mailing list was around 300,000 or 400,000 people, and it was a highly sought after demographic, and they were able to sell that mailing list for $1 million. The next thing they did is they took that same mailing list and they went to an insurance agency and they said, if you will spend the money on a direct mail piece, we will let you use this mailing list and we will split the profit with you on what comes in from the offer. And that worked very well, and they made $1 million from that. And then the fourth thing that they did is they had all of these Norman Rockwell pictures and covers that that had been in the magazine many times, and they owned the rights to all of those. And so what they did is they hired an attorney. And they had an attorney who was basically paid a salary plus commission to actually look for licensing opportunities for all of these Norman Rockwell pictures. And these pictures ended up being put on mugs and on plates and on all different types of things. And they brought in $1 million from that as well. So they made $4 million just on that all those ancillary opportunities. And what they did is they brought Jay in to actually get rid of and work with some of the trade out that this magazine had taken in. So this magazine had taken in a lot of trade out for advertising space, and Jay was kind of given the position to start moving some of that out, and Jay was actually given the opportunity to get a percentage of the revenue that he would bring from selling that. And Jay learned a lot about selling that trade out and selling that barter and turning it into other opportunities. And what he did is he ultimately went to the company, went to the owners and said, I want to make the barter and trade out business, I want to make that a profit center for this magazine. And they actually allowed Jay to do that. And so what Jay would do is Jay would go out and sell advertising on trade out based on something that he knew he could transfer to someone else. And so what he would a lot of times do, sell the trade out before he actually brought it in the door. And he actually was able to turn, a situation where sometimes you might wait, 90 or 120 or 180 days for cash flow. He was able to get immediate cash flow. You got to remember, again, this magazine's a monthly publication. They sell ad space. They might sell that 3 months out. The ad isn't being run for 3 months, and then you're not going to collect on the ad until it runs. Well, what Jay would do is he would actually bring trade out into the door that he might be able to sell for 75 cents on the dollar, where he would get hard cash up front and immediate. And so in some ways it was almost better than selling the space for cash, because he got immediate access to the money. And this worked out very well. And this led Jay to an opportunity with Success Magazine. So what we're going to do is we're going to end out of this section here. And when we come back, we're going to talk about what led Jay to success, and then entrepreneur, and how Jay ended up doing what he's doing now.